I heard her last heartbeat and heard her last breath. As hard and horrible as it was a gift as well. We had just had Elizabeth. She was about 8 months old, and Sarah was 5, and we thought we're ready to have a family vacation. But in the middle of that trip, Sarah got sick. When he told us it was cancer, I don't know if I heard anything past that.
We were in Sick Kids and they told us an oncologist was coming downstairs to talk to us. I remember looking at my wife and saying, what's an oncologist? Because nobody in our family had ever had cancer.
Next thing you know, they were moving us up to 8A, which is the cancer unit for kids. That was our new home. We moved in.
Caregiving is a really challenging experience. They're spending so much of their time and day, not just physically involved in caregiving, but emotionally and mentally. What happens as a result is that your own needs and desires and enjoyment kind of gets put secondary to your loved ones. And it really creates a situation where your whole life is just revolves around this person. And that's really what I try to work with caregivers around is how do you have that mental shift so that you can start really taking care of your loved one the way you want to.
When you're a parent, and your child has cancer and you're going through chemo, you are in a constant state of anxiety, always. It's like vibrating off you. You have no control over anything. You're stuck in this tornado.
Something really important to understand about a caregiver's experience is that they are under constant stress. And when your body is experiencing that stress, it's in a state of fight or flight. Your body can actually train itself to just calm their system and return it back to a state of peace.
We caught a lucky break. A friend of a friend said, do you want to do an interview? And we said, sure. And they interviewed Sarah, and Sarah was all excited. And the first story that came out on the news was breaking news. This little girl needs your help.
This is 5-year-old Sarah Watkin, and tonight you could help save her life.
Sarah has a rare type of blood cancer, and without a bone marrow transplant, she may not see her 6th birthday.
Becoming a bone marrow donor is actually easier than donating blood. There are no needles involved. All you have to do is take a swab of your cheek and mail it in.
A lot of work later, 32 schools were swabbed. It was the first time in Canadian history that an entire school board got on the registry. And Sarah tried to thank each and every one. And a girl came up to Sarah and she said, thank you. And she pulled out some beads out of her pocket. And I knew what they were right away. They're bravery beads that Sick Kids gives out for every procedure. And she said that to see all of her friends swab for Sarah and swab for people like her was one of the best days of her life.
I knew that if she got sick again, that would be it, that there would be nothing more that they could do. They just did the bone marrow transplant. And we knew going in that it's a 50-50. I was sleeping next to her and I had Matthew in my arms, and Mark and I held her hand because we're her parents, and I put my head on her chest. To hear her first breath, her first cry, and her last one is it's pretty spectacular. That's the word that comes to mind.
Living in a hospital for the better part of 2 years was 100% adrenaline for 2 years. It's fast, it's hectic. You don't have time to apologize for your actions. You are trying to do everything you can to keep your daughter happy and alive. When she passed away, I'm definitely not going to say you feel relief. But there is some relief knowing that this way of life for the last few years has ended.
A really interesting additional component for caregivers is a feeling of relief that comes with the passing of a loved one. And that's something that's really hard for many caregivers to cope with because they feel even more guilty. How could I be feeling relief? I cared so much for my loved one. But that relief is so normal. That really plays a lot into the grief process for caregivers and is a really important point to bring forward, I think.
When Sarah died, I knew that I wanted to be a better mother to Elizabeth and Matthew and be there and sing with them and take them to the park and take them to the zoo and encourage them to love each other. I'm their parent too. I will always feel this way. I will always miss Sarah. I will always look for the day that I see her again.
There's different stages of the caregiving journey, and the last stage is about learning to see yourself and become an advocate for other caregivers, but in a way that can now benefit other people, and I think it adds a lot of meaning to their life.
Talking about Sarah always makes me happy. A lot of people think that it makes me sad, but talking about her makes her real.
Even though our eyes tear when we talk about Sarah, our ears sing. Which is the reason we're here today, because we enjoy talking about her.